This video is a warning regarding the consequences of the welfare state. No matter how rich and plentiful your land is, no matter how much potential you have, 100 years of socialism will have this result that you will see here. Folks, this is Fernando doing yet another video for the Modern Survivalist, and for over 20 years I've been writing about just this. What happens when an economy collapses? What happens when you keep voting for more socialism, more redistribution of wealth? Well, we saw that time and again in Argentina. We just don't seem to learn. I wrote about this in Surviving the Economic Collapse based on my experience going through just that and going through just what you see here happening now again. Yet again in Argentina, 140% inflation, 100% devaluation of the currency. Now, in the typical Argentine fashion, we have no middle point. We go from full-blown idiotic socialism and welfare state to enough is enough. We now want a libertarian president that cuts everything, and finally there seems to be a glimmer of hope in the future. But this is just yesterday. Javier Milei just became the new president of Argentina a couple days ago. What you will see in Argentina for the next year, year and a half, according to Javier Milei himself, will be terrible. And it's a consequence of doing things so wrong for so long.
Argentina used to be one of the most prosperous countries in Latin America, but not anymore. Today, more than 1/3 of the population lives below the poverty line.
Las caras tristes, los ojos vacíos, eso es desnutrición.
Here, hundreds of families rely on this landfill to feed their children.
Todos los días yo sé que voy ahí, traigo todos los días para comer.
Some even eat from it.
Sí, el alimento, si está en buena condición, nosotros lo cocinamos.
It can be dangerous.
Es más allá de que corres peligro de cortarte, hay muchas bacterias, tuvimos el cólera.
The global crisis had a detrimental effect in Argentina. The pandemic crushed the country's already fragile economy. And the war in Ukraine made things even worse.
You have to keep in mind, this is the BBC. So the war in Ukraine made things worse in Argentina. I mean, I feel for the people in Ukraine, and I've addressed that so many times here in the video, in the channel. But the idea that anything in Ukraine has anything to do with the devastation that you see in Argentina, it is just woke politics from the BBC. But still, the video has a lot of important information you can learn from.
All over Latin America, the number of people who are hungry keeps going up.
He's drinking mate. Mate is like not really a tea, but traditional drink from Argentina.
This is Concordia, one of the poorest cities in Argentina. More than half of the people here live under the poverty line.
We're entering the slum El Silencio. It's called like this because during the day, all you can hear is the sound of flies.
This is important. You've probably been brainwashed into thinking that poor people, they always have to be lazy, drug addicts. It's basically their fault that they're poor. They're not working hard enough. They're just too stupid. It cannot possibly be any other way. That is simply not true. As they say here, it's called silencio because the people are working all day long, just trying to live any way they can. They just scavenge through the dump, finding anything they can eat. They collect cardboard, metal, glass, anything they can recycle. And it's not because they're stupid or because they're lazy. These are just very unfortunate people that were, they did not win the lottery, man. They did not win these people. Do you have any idea how hard some of these people work? And they will tell you, they make even more money. As poor, as desperately poor as they are, they make more money recycling cardboard and picking up garbage than working in some of the companies. that you have in Argentina. And it's not only because, yes, companies, they have their own, they have to go for profit. That's what companies are all about. But it's not the evil capitalist company. No, it's because Argentina has the worst possible taxation system in any economy in the planet. It's the most heavily burdened business enterprise in any country will be in Argentina. It is just not for every $100 you make in Argentina, if you pay everything, you're basically losing $10. That's the way it's built. It's machines. So the only way in which businesses do money, make any profit in Argentina is because of any special arrangements that they have, because of legalized or gray area corruption and arrangements with the local government. Because if they had to pay everything that they're supposed to pay, you cannot have a profitable business in Argentina. This is why people get paid so little. So it's a combination of corruption, insane burdens from the state on any kind of private enterprise, and you just don't make enough money even if you have yourself an actual job. Any of these people that you see here in any civilized country where you make a decent living would be middle class or maybe even more. It is insane, but it is exactly as I'm explaining
Cada vez
it.
hay más barrios, más asentamientos y lo que llama la atención es de que son de gente joven.
Most houses are made out of wood. They look precarious. Entire families of 6 or 7 live and sleep in the same room. It's mainly children here, left alone all day long to fend for themselves.
These kids, because this is a survival channel, this is a survival and preparedness channel. People think, oh, just because people are lazy. No, sure, you have poor lazy people, especially in the United States. You have a huge drug problem. This is not the problem these people have. These people, and yes, you have a huge problem of drugs in Argentina, as well as it's the case in most of the world, unfortunately. But in this specific example, and this I've seen myself with my own eyes, you have people that just have horrible luck and live in terrible conditions, and the way of crawling out of that, is it possible? Sure. It is, though, extremely difficult. I've seen kids like these with slingshots. They go hunting, man. Not only can they ride horses, not only do they live in the country, they live in the fields, they just scrounge and find any way of surviving. I've seen kids like these with slingshots hunting birds for food. It is a rather common thing, especially out of the city. It is fairly common. So they will hunt rats, birds, pigeons, anything they can. So it's not a matter of, no, just kids playing video games. No, don't be an idiot. Don't let the elites brainwash you into thinking that, oh no, it's always people's faults. If you're being screwed over by those that are really in charge of things, it's always because of you. Yeah, sometimes it may be, and yes, you can do a lot so as to improve your condition, but there's also this going on.
Monica tries to help them as best she can.
Aquí las infancias son muy tristes porque los chicos no tienen un momento de juego. Ellos actúan siempre como adultos. Son niños desde el momento que están en la panza hasta que nacen, hasta el año y medio. Y después ya son responsables porque viene otro hermanito.
And that's because some parents, most of whom are teenagers, spend all day long working here.
They work all day long. Kids working all day long, collecting cardboard, finding anything they can eat from the garbage, riding horses and hunting with a slingshot. And this is the reality of a lot of poor people. Now, it is also true that there's a lot of people that live out of the state, out of the corrupt state. But you know what? It's not the ones collecting the garbage. The guy that's driving around in a fancy car, the guy that has 40 different welfare cards and is collecting them all, these guys are not participating in that because they're not politically involved. They don't have a buddy in the government. These are the true people that have been left behind. They work all day long. Their children work all day long. Oh, why is it that they have children? Well, because they're human beings, and you're supposed to have kids. Of course, should you have kids in a responsible manner? Of course. But you know what? One of the things that I struggle with a lot with my American audience is empathy. You have not seen this yourself. You don't know what it is. You have no fucking idea what true poverty is. And to tell someone that will never have anything more than what you see there, that besides being dirt poor, working your ass off all day long, working like a beast of burden your entire life, and he has very little chance of having anything else than that. That besides that, he will not have even the minimal joy of life of having kids, having a family. Well, that is it's kind of easy and comfortable if you're not there. I like to see if this is your life, if this is all you have to look forward to, if maybe you don't find someone else and you try to make a better living. All of these people say the same thing. We just work so as to make a better future for our kids. Some of them actually do. Believe it or not, some of these actually do. But it's becoming increasingly more difficult because what used to be a system by which you had a somewhat functioning public education, these kids, if they grew up and managed to go to school, they could go to college. They could have a damn degree. You have no idea. You have no idea some of the stories of people that managed to crawl out of this poverty and become multi-millionaires, billionaires even. There are out there. They exist. I know of some of them. Studying in a free college in Lomas de Zamora, you reach the top of the financial world. It is possible. But the misery they go through still is very real as well. It's not everyone. Not everyone will have that capability. Not everyone will have that DNA, be driven that way, have the options. Some of them, most of them, the enormous majority of them will be left behind, and they will just repeat the story of their parents. And that's the life that they have. That's the life that they have.
Every day. It's an ocean of garbage, glass, plastic, food waste. But this is not how the people here see it. They see an opportunity, like Julio.
Todos los días yo sé que voy ahí, traigo todos los días para comer, para tener las cosas.
Julio wakes up at dawn. He walks to the landfill, which is right next to his home. Here, he looks for materials that he can resell to a recycling center. Everyone here is doing the same. It's a real business for them.
It's only 9 in the morning and the sun is scorching hot, but there's so many people here because this landfill is their only means of survival.
They wait for garbage trucks to get here. They call them cucas, short for cucarachas, cockroaches. As soon as they unload, they all latch onto the rubbish to try to get hold of
the inhumanity of this. You know, they're waiting for the trucks. The trucks, they call them cockroaches. So they're basically living off what a cockroach dumps right next to them. It is damn terrible.
most valuable materials. Then they separate the materials into different bags. And when they fill them up, they sell them to a place like this, a recycling center. Imagine working in these conditions, only to make a few pesos per week.
Mi trabajo cuando por ahí es duro, por ahí cuando está fuerte el sol, eso, te duele la cabeza. En el abasto es complicado por el tema del vidrio, te puede cortar.
En los basurales, más allá de que corres peligro de cortarte, de ingerir comida en mal estado, hay muchas bacterias, tuvimos el cólera, montones de enfermedades, y más allá de la necesidad económica, no conocen otra cosa, no conocen otra realidad.
It is.
But for Julio, it's all worth the risk. He's managed to build his home with things that he's picked up from the landfill.
Cuando llegamos acá no había nada. Yo en el abasta conseguí material para hacer mi casa, conseguí unas maderitas, unos nylon medio rotos, se parchó, se armó, le pusimos el techo mientras tanto.
He's going through all this effort for his daughter.
Mi sueño es que mi hija tenga una casa material, que tenga su casita, que tenga sus piezas, su cama, que tenga todas sus cosas, que no le va a faltar nada.
Julio's struggle is the story of many people here.
And it goes on. Poverty still rising in Argentina with off the charts inflation, hyperinflation, unavoidable at this point. This will just get worse. These shanty towns keep growing. They get bigger, meaning more people end up this way. People that used to be a little bit better off, still poor, but not in this condition, they keep on dropping. They just cannot make enough money to get by. Folks, I'll do a separate video on the second part of this, because I think there's a ton of information here for you to gather and understand a little bit more about what it is like when everything goes to hell, when the economy just falls apart, and it's not you being a drug addict, being hooked on it. No, it's because the economy has collapsed. Guys, see you next video. Take care.